Trash like you doesn't accord in Aboriginal class. The words, aciculate and venomous, sliced through the quiet hum of the cabin. Flight accessory Karen Miller, her face a affectation of angelic fury. Alternate the insult with a lone bang beyond Alani Washington's face. The Able echoed. A complete so aciculate and ugly it seemed to blot the air out of the space. Alani's arch airtight to the side, her audacity instantly erupting in a fiery sting. A aggregate draft bouncing through the advantaged passengers. Have you any time witnessed someone's activity actually bang in an amount of minutes? Accept you any time apparent arrogance and ageism bang with a absoluteness, so adverse it shatters a person's complete world? If you appetite to see afterlife delivered alive and in beauteous aerial definition, I allegation you to do 3 things for me adapted now. Smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and acquaint me in the comments if you've any time apparent and corruption of power draft up in someone's face. You are about to attestant a appraisal of legendary proportions. That's what happens to thieves, Karen sneered, her articulation decrepit with contempt. She snatched Alani's boarding canyon from her hand. With a theatrical flourish, she ripped the certificate into confetti, the pieces aerial to the carpeted attic like asleep leaves. She threw the debris at Alani's feet, an activity of ultimate disdain. Now get on your knees and aces up your affected ticket, Karen commanded, her field jabbing appear the floor. Then clamber your way back to abridgment area you belong. The Aboriginal chic cabin, a altar of leather and champagne, fell into a tomb-like silence. 30 pairs of eyes acceptance to men in tailored apparel and women adorned with detached adornment were bedeviled on the drama. A sea of smartphones rose, their lenses like cold, unblinking eyes, all recording. They saw Alani standing frozen, dressed in a simple brace of achromatic jeans, a apparent gray t-shirt, and sneakers that had acutely absolved added afar on pavement than on airport carpeting. A barbarous red handprint was already blooming adjoin the aphotic bark of her cheek. A man in bench 3A aside to his companion aloof loud abundant to be heard. Finally, It's About Time edition handled these scammers with some authority. In actually 8 minutes, flight attendant Karen Miller would apprentice an adverse lesson. She had aloof physically assaulted the arch-authoritative officer, who endemic the complete airline. It was 3:52 p.m. Abandonment was in 23 minutes. Alani remained standing, a colonnade of calmness in the bouncing amphitheater of hostility. The bite on her audacity was an accomplishment's force, a focal point for the cold, calculating acerbity that was alpha to accumulate oral her. She didn't kneel. She didn't alike glance at the advertisement cardboard bits that represented her identity. Her adapted to be in that complete spot. The abrupt red imprint on her bark seemed to be a catalyst, an ammunition antecedent for Karen's escalating rage. Did you go deaf? Karen's articulation climbed into an acute shriek, a complete that burst the anxiously curated ataraxia of the cabin. I said, "Get on your knees and aces up your garbage." She lunged forward, avaricious Alani's amateur with both hands, her manicured nails digging into the bendable bolt of her shirt. She approved to force her bottom ward to accomplish her physically submit, but Alani stood firm, her anatomy abiding to the spot. Frustrated, Karen shoved her violently, sending her barrier aback adjoin in a lone covering seat. "You're alone authoritative this worse for yourself," Karen snarled, her face inches from Alani's. She jabbed a finger hard into Alani's chest for emphasis. "Abyss like you consistently do." The chat angled afraid in the air. A toxic, poisonous vapor. "Security," Karen bellowed. Axis her arch appear the advanced of the plane. "We accept a violent, non-compliant commuter in Aboriginal class." The commotion had now fatigued every distinct eye. In bench 1B, Tiffany Rose, a lifestyle influencer with altogether coiffed albino beard and an accoutrements that amount added than an acclimated car, had her buzz expertly positioned. She was live streaming. "Oh my God, you guys," Tiffany whispered into her phone's microphone, her articulation a complete alloy of bogus shock and concern. "You will not accept this. There's actually a bluff in first class aggravating to abduct a seat. This flight attendant, she is in complete hero, administration it perfectly." Her alive bet counter, arresting on her screen, was advancing like a rocket. 847 viewers and rising. A torrent of comments abounding the screen. Finally, an accessory with a backbone. "Good. Get her off the plane. These bodies are consistently aggravating to betray the system. Why can't they aloof chase the rules? I adulation this flight attendant. Zero tolerance." The allegation to alarm the brand like yesterday. Manager Mark Adler arrived, hardly asthmatic from his bare bottom toward the jet bridge. At 52, he agitated himself with the weary, advancing ascendancy of a man who had spent 2 decades in airline administration and was thoroughly unimpressed by the animal condition. "What's the bearings here, Karen?" he asked, his boring anchored on his employee. He didn't like accede Alani, treating her as if she were a allotment of baggage blocking the aisle. "Attempted bench fraud, sir," Karen reported, her articulation now abounding with an aloof gravitas. She banned to aftermath any valid identification and became a non-antagonistic and advancing aback I attempted to verify her acutely forged ticket. Adler assuredly deigned to attending at Alani. His eyes did a slow, audacious scan, demography in every detail of her simple attire. Jeans with a baby-frayed breech at the knee that screamed banking hardship. A basic white bodice that adequate came from a abatement abundance rack. Scuffed sneakers that had apparent bigger canicule ago. His abhorrence was palpable. "Ma'am," he said, the chat abundant with condescension. "I am activity to allegation to see your boarding canyon and a government-issued photo ID immediately. No added games." "She already destroyed my boarding pass," Alani said. Her articulation was quiet but steady as a rock, a abrupt adverse to the anarchy enveloping her. Karen let out an acrid barking laugh, a complete that encouraged several nearby passengers to cackle and acceding because a dark man could see it was a fake. "Attending at her, Mark." "Aloof attending at her. Does she attending like she belongs in a $2,000 Aboriginal chic seat?" The cartage in the surrounding seats nodded in active agreement. An aged man in a big-ticket 3-piece suit, a gold watch bright on his wrist, decrepit loud abundant for the complete. "Birth to here. Disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. In my day, bodies knew their place." His wife, clutching a designer backpack to her chest, as if absorptionate from a pickpocket, whispered, "I aloof don't feel safe with her on this plane." Tiffany's alive Beck had exploded. The viewer calculation attack accomplished 2,000 Tofin 400. She expertly angled her camera to capture Alani's face, zooming in on the affronted red handprint, presenting it not as affirmation of assault, but as affirmation of justified force. "The poor flight accessory is aloof aggravating to do her job, you guys," Tiffany anecdotal with a constructed sympathy. "Some bodies aloof accept actually no shame, no account for the rules." The comments were growing uglier, added vicious. "Typical advantaged behavior. Should accept alleged the cops 10 account ago. Why are my flights consistently delayed by bodies like this? Ban her from the airline for life." Columnist accused for assaulting the flight attendant. Adler, adequate the moment of authority, pulled out his official radio. "Ground control, this is Flight 815, requesting complete Aegis acknowledgement to Obwado B12. We accept accessible fraud and anarchic conduct bearings in the Aboriginal chic cabin." Slowly, deliberately, Alani accomplished into her beat-covering agent bag. As she moved, article brownish central briefly caught the aerial light. The bend of what looked like an official brand or Heil credential. "Sir, if you'll just allow me to actualization you might accumulate your easily area I can see them," Adler barked, his voice alveolate with accomplished aggression. "Don't you cartel ability for annihilation abroad afterwards my permission." Oral 2 minutes, Aegis Administrator Derek Hayes arrived, his able-bodied anatomy bushing the narrow aisle. His Duke adequate accidentally yet advisedly on the handcuffs clipped to his belt. Abaft him, 2 uniformed airport brand officers appeared, their attendants instantly ratcheting up the restriction and cartoon-alike added gawking stares from the economy cartage still boarding. The agenda abandonment laugh at the advanced of the berth blinked ominously. "Flight 815. Abandonment 18 minutes. What's the botheration here?" Administrator Martinez asked, his accent the accepted no-nonsense articulation of law enforcement. He surveyed the close arena with experienced, contemptuous eyes. "A bright case of bench artifice and disorderly conduct," Adler explained confidently, puffing out his chest. This alone actively banned to move to her assigned bench, and became anon advancing and threatening when questioned about her affected documentation. Administrator Martinez affronted his boring on Alani, the apprehensive accusatory attending cops' assets for doubtable criminals. "Ma'am, do you accept an accurate government ID and an accepted boarding canyon for bench 2A in Aboriginal class?" "She destroyed my boarding pass," Alani repeated, her articulation still an alarm of calm in a sea of hysteria. Karen stepped advanced triumphantly, arena to her growing admirers of cartage and online viewers. Because anyone with activity eyes could see it was a complete fake. I've been accomplishing this job for 20 years. I know a able bluffaback I see one. She affronted theatrically, acclamation the fascinated onlookers. This bodies is actually why your flights get delayed. Entitled individuals who anticipate they can lie and bluff their way into an activity of affluence they haven't earned. Several cartage bankrupt into ad-lib applause. Tiffany's eyewitness calculation had skyrocketed accomplished 5,000. The comment area had become a baneful avalanche of agenda hate. Arrest her now. These bodies ruin aggregate for the blow of us. First chic artifice needs to trend nationwide. Sue her for the amount of the delay. I accept a affiliation to make. The cockpit aperture swung accessible and Captain David Evans emerged, fatigued by the aberrant commotion on his aircraft. At 60, he allowable automated account with his acclaimed argent beard and a decorated compatible that advertisement decades of service. He took one across the board attending at the anarchic arena and befuddled his arch in disgust. Miller is one of our best experienced and trusted flight attendants, he announced, his articulation booming with authority. If Karen says there's a serious problem, afresh there is an austere problem. Central Alani's bag, her buzz buzzed insistently, cavernous like an affronted hornet. The awning lit up through the leather, assuming an absent call. Lath of directors, 15. She advisedly alone it. Adler's radio crackled. Mark, this is Patricia Walsh from Bounded Management. I'm accepting assorted alerts about a cogent bearings on Flight 815. I allegation a status report now. Adler keyed his radio, speaking loud abundant for the complete berth to apprehend his complete command. Completely beneath control, Patricia. Standard artifice attempt. We're removing the alone as per aggregation policy. The radio crackled aback instantly. Actually ought tolerance, Mark. Our premium cartage pay for exceptional account and security. Abolish her anon and abode her on the permanent no-fly list. The Army murmured its approval. This was justice, abrupt and efficient. Administrator Martinez stepped after peace to Alani, his duke now effective from his belt to join his handcuffs. Ma'am, I allegation you to accumulate your personal accoutrements and appear with us now. You can try to array this out at the gate. Actually, Alani said quietly, her voice absorbed with a strange, alarming aplomb that seemed actually out of place. I'd like to accomplish one buzz call first. Karen snorted with cheeky laughter. You can alarm whoever you appetite from the airport brand base. Afterwards, you're assuredly banned from this airline and all of our partners. Tiffany zoomed her camera in badly on Alani's face, capturing every base detail for her rapidly accretion audience. Her admirers were now administration the atomic beck beyond every amusing media platform. Aboriginal chic artifice was trending in 3 above cities. The abandonment board updated. Flight 815. Abandonment 15 minutes. Final boarding call. Time's up. Adler declared with an air of finality. Officers, escort her off this aircraft. We accept an agenda to keep. Alani looked boring about the berth at the sea of hostile, annoyed faces. 30 Aboriginal chic passengers, all amusement in her accessible humiliation. Hundreds of abridgment cartage craning their necks, acquisitive to see the troublemaker. And bags added watching online as Tiffany's alive stream went viral. She remained unnaturally, about angrily calm. Before you accomplish a decision you can never booty back, Alani said, her articulation as abiding and algid as steel. I anticipate you all should know exactly who you're removing from this plane. It was 3:57 p.m. Abandonment was now in 13 minutes. I don't affliction if you're the Queen of Sheba, Adler snapped, his backbone actually gone. You are accepting off this alike adapted now. The berth erupted in a beginning wave of amusement and applause. Addition shouted, finally. Addition who does an abatement for the soba stories. Officer Martinez stepped forward, the brownish bang of his handcuffs now oral as he unclipped them from his belt. Ma'am, you allegation to accede anon, or you will be arrested for trespassing and anarchic conduct. Alani's buzz bashed again, but this time it wasn't aloof hers. A halfdozen added phones began campanology accompanying throughout the first-class cabin. A low babble of disconnected business deals and important calls filled the air. Tiffany's Alive Beck had hit an amazing 12,000 viewers. The comments were a river of vitriol. This is demography way too long. Aloof drag her out. I'm never aerial complete era fresh if they abide this. Should taste her. Stop crumbling everyone's time. Aboriginal chic artifice is trending. Justice served live. Karen, now actually all embracing her role as the ablaze of the show, was performing for the cameras. Her articulation projected to the complete aback of the plane. Ladies and gentlemen, I aboveboard apologize for this adverse delay. We are ambidextrous with an alone who believes the rules artlessly do not administer to her. She absolved over to area the pieces of Alani's boarding canyon lay advertisement, and with affecting curl arena them under her heel, as if abolition a cigarette. This, she announced triumphantly, is what we do with affected documents. She afresh angled down, best up a few of the beyond disconnected pieces, and threw them at Alani's face. There's your first chic ticket, princess. The army cheered. Addition began a slow clap that advanced through the cabin. Alani calmly brushed the cardboard fragments from her hair, her announcement unchanging. Karen, she said quietly, you might want a booty a afterpiece attending at what you aloof destroyed. Oh, I looked plenty, Karen shrieked. A affected boarding canyon doesn't get added complete the best you beam at it. But article in Alani's accent fabricated her glance bottomward at the bigger fragment abreast her foot. Her face went anemic as she made out a few fractional belles lettres printed in a characteristic font. A tiny exec. She quickly kicked the allotment beneath a bench afore anyone abroad could see it. Adler's radio crackled again. Mark, this is Patricia. Accumulated address is calling an emergency meeting. Article about a massive amusing media bearings on Flight 815. What is your status? The alive Beck eyewitness calculation accursed accomplished 15,000. Tiffany was now accoutrement a running annotation like a sports announcer. Okay, everyone. It looks like the airport brand are assuredly activity to accomplish the arrest. It's about time. She's been captivation up this complete flight with her lies and her entitlement. Added cartage we're now recording. The arena actuality captured from a dozen altered angles in an amusing media agriculture frenzy. A new player arrived. The boarding Abuedo supervisor, Linda Lane, attractive, abashed, and concerned. What is activity on here? My buzz is alarming up with calls from 3 different departments about a bearings on this flight. Adler anon approved to booty charge. Routine artifice removal, Linda. Aggregate is beneath control. But Linda Lane looked at the army of phones, the alive streamer, the brand officers, and the apparent chaos. This doesn't attending routine, Mark. Captain Evans advanced aggressively. Mississippi Lane, with all due respect, this is my aircraft. My aggregation fabricated a decision. We do not accommodate with fraudsters. He pointed a adamant feel anon at Alani. Security, abolish her now. I want this alike in the air on time. The burden was immense, advancing from all sides. Officer Martinez confused in, acutely advancing to accomplish the arrest. Last chance, ma'am. Appear agreeably, or you'll be agitated off in these. He held up the handcuffs. The agenda alarm showed 11 account to departure. The arena aggregation al fresco the windows were authoritative their final preparations. The complete cartage boarding abaft the police were creating a bottleneck, a bank of analytical onlookers. Tiffany's buzz array was a flame red, but she kept streaming. Oh my God, you guys. This is like watching a live justice. I can't accept how advantaged some bodies are. The comments were accepting added, actually racist by the minute. Of course, it's one of them. This is why we can't accept nice things. Should be actionable to decay everyone's time like this. Columnist all the charges. All accomplish an archetype of her. Karen, bashed on her power, now took to the plane's intercom system. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your arch flight attendant, Karen Miller. We apologize for the adjournment, which is actuality acquired by a commuter attempting to use affected abstracts to admission Aboriginal chic seating. The situation is actuality bound by law enforcement. Her articulation echoed through the complete aircraft, extensive all 300-plus passengers. The acknowledgement was complete and overwhelming. A choir of angry shouts erupted from the abridgment cabin. Aloof, get her off. We're activity to absence our connections. Why don't these people anytime chase the rules? Alani's agent bag was now hardly open, complete glimpses of official-looking abstracts and accreditation inside. But in the chaos, no one was advantageous absorption to details. They were all captivated by the drama. Ma'am, you're beneath arrest for arrest and disorderly conduct, Administrator Martinez stated. His accommodation made. He reached for Alani's arm. At that exact moment, Patricia Walsh's voice crackled over Adler's radio again, but this time, her accent was actually different. It was urgent, almost panicked. Mark, I allegation you to stop aggregate you are doing. I repeat, stop everything. Do not abolish that passenger. Accumulated is in an emergency affair about this specific flight. Article about Adler quickly affronted bottomward the volume, but several cartage had heard the transmission. What did she say? Addition asked. Did she say don't abolish her? Adler coiled a dismissive hand. Radio malfunction. Interference from the tower. But Linda Lane had heard it too, and she stepped afterpiece to him. Mark, maybe we should delay for description from no waiting, Captain Evans interrupted, his articulation like granite. My flight, my schedule, my decision. Officers, arrest her now. The army was a crumb keg. 15,000 bodies were watching online. Hundreds of cartage on the alike were demanding action. The burden was unbearable. Alani looked about at the sea of hostile faces, the recording phones, the abutting handcuffs, and the utter chaos that had erupted about her. A fresh she did article no one expected. She smiled. It wasn't a defeated smile or a afraid smile. It was a smile of supreme chilling confidence. A smile that said she knew article that cipher abroad did. Officer Martinez, she said calmly. Before you arrest me, would you apperception if I showed you article from my bag? No. Karen screamed, her articulation cracking with hysteria. She's aggravating to abstract you. She apparently has a weapon. A aggregate draft went through the crowd. Passengers recoiled. Ma'am, accumulate your easily visible, Martinez ordered, his own Duke now effective aimlessly appear his account weapon. I accept your caution, officer, Alani replied, her articulation impossibly serene. But I accept activity that already you see what's in here. This complete bearings is activity to attending very complete different. The departure admission hit 9 minutes. Tiffany's Alive Beck admirers had surged to 18,000 viewers. All on the edge of their seats, cat and mouse to see how this atomic battle would end. And Alani Washington was about to actualization them article that would change everything. Okay, we accept to abeyance right here. The apple is about to about face upside bottomward for every distinct actuality on this plane. If you are admiring this epic takedown, you allegation to hit that subscribe button adapted now, because you will not appetite to absence what happens next. This is amends served in complete time. It was 4:02 p.m. abandonment in 8 minutes. Alani accomplished boring into her agent bag, every eye in the berth afterward her hand. Administrator Martinez kept his own hand assertive abreast his weapon, his Duke White. The air was blubbery with a tension you could taste. She withdrew a beat atramentus covering portfolio, the kind that had acutely apparent years of use in high-stakes meetings. Ma'am, no abrupt movements, Martinez warned, his articulation tight. With deliberate, about affected calm, Alani opened the portfolio. The Aboriginal account she appear was a laminated ID badge. It bent the aerial berth lights, absorption a holographic allowance of authenticity. From several anxiety away, Linda Lane, the Abodo supervisor, squinted, aggravating to read the baby print. As the words came into focus, every bead of blush drained from her face. Oh my God, she whispered, a complete almost oral over the hum of the abetting ability unit. The brand apprehend in bold official lettering. Alani Washington, arch authoritative officer. Complete air. Karen's boastful affront froze on her face, a rise like bargain plaster. That's acutely a fake, too, she stammered, her articulation aback accident all its conviction. Anyone can accomplish a affected ID on a computer. But Alani was aloof accepting started. She withdrew her additional document. It was printed on blubbery cream-cold accumulated card addressed the complete air logo arresting in a blaze impossible to affected gold leaf. This, Alani said with that same terrifying calm, is my official letter of appointment. She captivated it up for anybody to see. Signed by the administrator of the Lath of Admiral Anachronist January 15, 2023. Formally appointing Alani Washington as arch-authoritative administrator of Complete Air, able immediately. Mark Adler's radio slipped from his aback aloof fingers, blast audibly on the floor. Captain Evans pushed forward, abduction the letter from Alani's Duke with atrocious urgency. His accomplished pilot's eyes accomplished to spot the aboriginal aberration on an apparatus console scanned the official accumulated seals, the intricate watermarks, the complete acknowledged abracadabra that could never be assuredly faked. His asperous face affronted a abhorrent adumbration of ash. This can't be real, he stammered, his articulation arise with a ascent advance of authentic terror. There's no way. Tiffany's alive beck descended into agenda pandemonium. The animadversion area went actually nuclear. Holy. So, is this real? No way. No. Fing Wei. The CEO, the complete CEO. They're also fired. I am screaming. This is the greatest artifice aberration in animal history. Afterlife is my new religion. Her viewer calculation exploded accomplished 25,000 as bodies aimlessly aggregate the stream across every believable platform. Alani calmly retrieved her claimed phone. She dialed a cardinal she knew by affection and put the alarm on apostle, so every single person in that abashed, bashful berth could hear. The Able Arena tone echoed through the aircraft. Janet Morrison speaking. Executive Office of the CEO, Complete Air. Hello, Janet. This is Alani calling from the field. I'm currently encountering some operational difficulties on Flight 815 to JFK. Could you do me a favor and acutely affirm my identity for the aggregation and cartage here? They assumed to be accepting some agitation with my credentials. There was an abrupt able abeyance on the added end. Of course, Miss Washington. Ladies and gentlemen, you are speaking with Alani Washington, the arch-authoritative administrator of Sovereign Air, acutely appointed by the Lath of Admiral in January of 2023. She is traveling today for tomorrow's anniversary Lath affair at our accumulated address in New York. The silence that followed was absolute. It was so abstruse you could apprehend the claret anguish in your own ears. Karen's face had transitioned from anemic to a ailing, abhorrent green. She began abetment away from Alani, footfall by disturbing step, as if Alani had a back become radioactive. I didn't know, absence Washington, she whimpered. I had no idea. Please, you have to understand. Wait, you slapped the CEO? Administrator Martinez stared at Karen in complete horror, his able accord assuredly cracking. You physically assaulted the arch of the complete company. Adler was now on his easily and knees, aimlessly fumbling for his radio, his easily afraid so berserk he could almost anchor it. Alani withdrew yet edition certificate from her portfolio. This one was thicker, bound with assorted acknowledged seals and covered in authoritative signatures. This is my claimed banal ownership certificate, she explained, her articulation as alike as an Arctic lake. It officially documents that I alone own 12% of Complete Air. That makes me the second largest alone actor in the aggregation abaft alone the founding family's trust. She paused, absolution the amazing weight of that advice drove them. In added words, I don't aloof assignment for this airline. I own a cogent authoritative allotment of this airline. Captain Evans was now account the arrangement letter over and over, as if staring at it affiliated abundant would magically change the words. But the accumulated seals were real. The signatures were original. The legal language was ironclad. Miss Washington, he began, his voice trembling with an alarm he'd never felt, not alike in the affliction storms over the Atlantic. We had no idea. Of advance you had no idea, Alani replied, her articulation now abstemious with ice. Because not a distinct one of you agitated to ask a catechism or verify a distinct allotment of information. You saw faded jeans and old sneakers, and you. Anon affected I was angled aggravating to betray you. Tiffany's live stream had become an all-around phenomenon. The eyewitness calculation accursed accomplished 35,000. Durker's CEO acknowledged was now trending nationally, actually eclipsing Shubaser Aboriginal chic fraud. Comments poured in from about the world. This is the greatest animus adventure any time told. Karma is complete and she is beautiful. That flight accessory is done. I'm actually errant tears of joy. This is so perfect. Get them, Milani. Destroy them all. This is bigger than any cine I have ever seen. But Alani wasn't finished. She accomplished into her portfolio one last time and withdrew a blubbery manila binder apparent in red. Confidential Lath of Directors, eyes only. Bigotry investigation. There's article abroad anybody in this cabin needs to know, Alani said, her articulation bottomward to a low, dangerous register. She opened the binder complete dozens of official documents, color photographs, abundant adventure reports, and affirmation acknowledged affidavit. This binder contains the complete affirmation of 47 abstracted bigotry complaints filed against this specific flight aggregation over the accomplished 18 months. A aggregate draft of shock and horror swept through the passengers. 47 accurate incidents, Alani continued, of cartage actuality mistreated, harassed, and discriminated adjoined based on their race, their religion, their gender, their animal orientation, or artlessly their bread and butter appearance. All incidents involving the exact aforementioned flight attendant, the exact aforementioned manager, and the exact aforementioned captain standing afore you now. She captivated up a blush photograph that made Karen blunder astern as if she'd been physically struck. Actuality is a photo of Karen Miller deliberately abnegation to serve a meal to a Muslim commuter during Ramadan, claiming it was a joint aggregation policy. Here is accurate affirmation of Mark Adler removing an complete Hispanic family from Aboriginal chic because their accouchement were allegedly too loud, admitting multiple white families with louder accouchement actuality acclimatized to remain. And here, she said, captivation up a transcript, is recorded affidavit of Captain Evans' authoritative sexually inappropriate comments about the accoutrement and actualization of female passengers. Adler was now desperately, frantically trying to ability Patricia Walsh. Patricia, amused respond. We have a cipher read. A adverse situation. The passenger, she's baby God in heaven. Alani's claimed phone rang with an official multi-line tone. She answered it on Apostle for maximum impact. Alani, this is James Richardson, administrator of the board. I aloof received in burning active about austere adventure involving you on one of our aircraft. Are you safe? Are you unharmed? The administrator of the board. The distinct best able actuality in the complete company. I'm physically fine, James, Alani replied. But we accept in burning allegation to alticate some acutely serious violations of federal activity that are accident in complete time on Flight 815. All actuality advertisement alive to tens of bags of witnesses. I'm watching the Alive Beck adapted now, Alani, forth with half the country and several added Lath members. The complete Lath is convening for an emergency affair in 1 hour. I am personally and professionally devastated that this happened to you. Karen had started to cry. Not tears of remorse, but tears of authentic complete terror as the abounding crushing absoluteness of her bearings came into focus. Her career wasn't aloof over. It was annihilated. Please, I'm alarmed you, she sobbed desperately. Absence Washington, I candidly didn't know. I was aloof aggravating to do my job. I accept a family, a mortgage, medical bills. Your job, Alani replied, her words precise and devastating, is to amusement every distinct commuter with address and respect, not aloof the ones who attending like they can allow it. Adler's radio assuredly connected. Mark, whatever you're doing, stop. That commuter is Alani Washington. She's our CEO. The complete Lath is watching you on a live stream. You accept aloof created the single bigger accessible relations adversity in the history of this industry. It was far, far too late. Administrator Martinez anxiously abrupt his handcuffs aback assimilate his belt and took a admiring footfall abroad from Alani. Ms. Washington, I above board apologize for this misunderstanding. This bearings was acutely biased to us. No, officer. Alani said, her ascendancy now complete and unwavering. This was not a misunderstanding. This was analytical institutional bigotry based absolutely on racial profiling and classist prejudice. She affronted advisedly to face Tiffany's Alive camera, speaking now to her all-around audience. My name is Alani Washington. I am the CEO of Complete Air. And for the accomplished year, I accept been conducting unannounced commuter acquaintance audits by aerial anonymously on our own flights, accurately to identify problems actually like this one. The Alive Beck admirers erupted, 40,000 viewers and climbing. Today, Alani continued, her eyes burning with intensity. I apparent that some of our advisors accept it as adequate to amusement our barter, like criminals based alone on the blush of their bark and the clothes they wear. That bigotry and that behavior ends today. It ends adapted now. Captain Evans was aimlessly scrolling through accumulated activity manuals on his phone, badly aggravating to account the magnitude of the agitation he was in. The acknowledgement was simple. Career ending. Karen had access into an alone seat, her anatomy racked with uncontrollable sobs as she mourned the activity she had aloof destroyed. Adler kept repeating like a broken mantra. This can't be happening. This aloof can't be happening. But Alani Washington had one final adverse revelation. She pulled out her buzz and displayed the awning anon to Tiffany's camera for the complete Apple to see. I accept additionally been continuously recording high-definition audio of this complete alternation from the moment I stepped on this plane. Every abominable slur, every biased assumption, every distinct abuse of federal civilian rights law, all of it accurate with perfect, accurately acceptable clarity. The recording app on her awning acutely showed 37 account of ceaseless audio evidence. Tiffany's Alive Beck hit 50,000 admirers as bodies about the Apple watched the best amazing changeabout of affluence in avant-garde history unfold in complete time. And Alani Washington was aloof getting started. It was 4:07 p.m. Abandonment was now officially delayed. Alani stood calmly at the epicenter of the anarchy she had unleashed. A queen surveying the charcoal of her enemies' careers. Her buzz was a connected advance of admission calls. Corporate headquarters, the lath of directors, the acknowledged department. She alone them all. Since we're all here, Alani said, her articulation acid through the astriction with the quiet ascendancy of addition acclimatized to absolute command. Let's alticate some specific numbers. She opened her portfolio. To a section marked Banking a Pulse Analysis. Complete Air generated $48.9 billion in acquirement after most year. Our accumulation margins are razor thin. Every lawsuit, every public relations adversity anon impacts actor value. Adler was still on the floor, averseness with his radio, diaphoresis advance on his forehead admitting the air-conditioned berth air. Alani affiliated with the algid attention of a surgeon. Bigotry lawsuits in this industry amount in boilerplate of $2.30 actor per incident. That's a four-wheel-like allocution about castigating immersement and regulatory fines. She paused, absolution the cardinal adhere in the air like a guillotine. Tiffany's Alive Beck admirers hit 55,000. Social media incidents of this magnitude, she went on, about abate a company's banal amount by an boilerplate of 4.2% oral the aboriginal 24 hours. Based on our accepted bizarre capitalization, that represents an accident of about $890 million. Captain Evans' face went gray as he watched his pension, his retirement, his complete life's assignment clear in real time. Alani withdrew addition document. This one addressed the official seals of the Administration of Transportation and the Federal Aviation Administration. Beneath Federal Aviation Regulation Part 3082, the Air Carrier Admission Act and Title VII of the Civilian Rights Act of 1964. What occurred actuality today constitutes assorted federal violations, anniversary accustomed abeyant angled charges. Karen looked up from her sobbing, her eyes advanced with a beginning beachcomber of terror. Criminal charges, concrete advance of a passenger. Alani ticked off the list, adamant abolition of an accurate biking document. Bigotry based on chase and perceived bread-and-butter status, filing an apocryphal address with law enforcement. Anniversary abuse carries an abeyant sentence of up to 2 years in federal prison. Administrator Martinez confused uncomfortably. Miss Washington, if you ambition to columnist charges. We'll get to that, Alani said. First, I appetite anybody to accept the amount of analytical prejudice. She produced her final best anathema document. Confidential Discrimination Audit Complete Air Flight Operations 18-month analysis. This address documents not aloof the 47 incidents involving this crew, but patterns of bigotry beyond our complete comm network. Alani opened the address to a folio abounding with adverse archive and statistics. Adler's radio assuredly slipped from his collected fingers again. Our centralized assay begin that passengers of blush are 340% added adequate to be questioned about the authority of their tickets. They are 280% added adequate to be asked for accessory forms of identification, and they are 450% added adequate to be removed from a flight for disruptive behavior, admitting identical conduct from white cartage being tolerated or ignored. The numbers landed like anatomy blows. The cabin was silent, stunned. Tiffany's Alive Beck comments exploded with pure outrage. Those stats are horrifying. This is systemic racism apparent alive on camera. How is this acknowledged in 2025? Sue them into the ground. This is why I'd rather drive. Alani's buzz rang. She glanced at the caller ID, a fresh smiled coldly. James Richardson, again, she answered on speaker. Maya, the complete laugh is in an emergency session. We are able to offer whatever resolution you account appropriate. The company's acceptability is at stake. James, Alani interrupted. I'm activity to accord anybody in this berth a best adapted now in advance of 55,000 witnesses. The berth fell dead silent, save for Karen's quiet, hitching sobs. Mr. Adler, Absence Miller, Captain Evans, Alani said, acclamation them directly. You accept actually 2 options. I will explain them both clearly, and you will accomplish your accommodation immediately. Adler opened his mouth, but no complete came out. Option 1, Alani began. Immediate suspension, afterwards pay awaiting a abounding federal investigation. 120 hours of binding acuteness and bias apprenticeship training. A accessible accounting acknowledgement to be appear in every above biweekly and on all company social media platforms. A abiding characters in your cadre files and a probationary application cachet for a minimum of 2 years. The 3 aggregation associates looked at anniversary other, their faces masks of horror. Option 2, Alani continued, her articulation hardening. Complete abortion for cause, a permanent ban from application in the complete airline industry. You will be captivated alone and accurately accountable for all accumulated damages, including banal losses and acknowledged fees. And I will ensure federal angled accused for civilian rights violations are filed a joint anniversary of you personally. She arrested her watch. You accept 30 seconds. Patricia Walsh's articulation finally screamed through Adler's alone radio. Mark, accumulated acknowledged is on line 1. The banal amount is coast in afterwards hours trading. CNN is calling for a statement. The DOT is aperture and investigation. What is happening? Adler accolade to grab the radio. Patricia, the passenger, she's the CEO. She's Alani Washington. She's the complete CEO of the accomplished airline. A access of changeless then, oh my God. Oh my dear God. Mark, do whatever she says. Accord her whatever she wants. The lath is in absolute crisis mode. Alani's buzz awning was an avalanche of breaking account alerts. Complete Air CEO assaulted by flight accessory in abominable bigotry incident. Airline banal plummets as CEO discrimination video goes viral. Transportation Administration opens investigation into Complete Air. The Alive Beck admirers had exploded accomplished 75,000. Sovereign bigotry was trending globally. Time's up, Alani announced. I allegation your decisions. Karen Batten first, her articulation a burst whisper. Option 1, please. I choose option 1. I accept children. Captain Evans nodded frantically. Option 1. Absolutely. Option 1. Adler looked about badly, as if searching for an escape avenue that no best existed. Option 1, he croaked. Excellent choices, Alani said coldly. Those decisions are now a amount of accessible record, witnessed by 75,000 bodies and recorded for all acknowledged purposes. She affronted aback to the Alive stream camera. But this isn't about aloof 3 employees. This is about alteration an entire industry. Her buzz rang again. This time she showed the addition ID to the camera. It apprehends Secretary of Transportation, United States Government. She answered. Miss Washington, this is Secretary Johnson. The Administration of Transportation is able to barrage an absolute industry-wide investigation into abominable practices beyond all above U.S. airlines. We would like your abounding cooperation. You accept it, Mr. Secretary, Alani said. But I'm announcement some complete changes that will not delay for a federal investigation. She looked anon into Tiffany's camera, her eyes blazing. Effective immediately, Complete Air will apparatus the afterward binding reforms. First, every distinct aggregation member from pilots to Obwado agents will complete 40 hours of benumbed bent and de-escalation training oral the abutting 60 days. Failure to do so will after effect in complete termination. Second, we are launching a new commuter bill of rights adaptable app acceptance for the real-time advertisement of bigotry, with every report automatically triggering an accumulated review. Third, any and all discrimination incidents will now be advised by our new appointment of commuter equity, which will be headed by an aggregation of absolute civilian rights attorneys. Fourth, we are establishing a $50 actor anniversary armamentarium for assortment initiatives and discrimination prevention programs. And fifth, from this day forward, authoritative bonuses for all administration will be a non-angry to a accessible abridgment in discrimination incidents and an access in commuter achievement array amid minority travelers. The Alive Beck comments were a basic continuing ovation. Yes, systemic change. This is how you use ability for good. Every airline in the world needs to do this now. Queen behavior. Adler's radio crackled one aftermost time. Patricia Walsh's articulation was almost a whisper. Mark, the board wants me to ask, is there annihilation else? Annihilation at all we can do? The banal is bottomward 6% and still falling. Alani looked about the berth at the aggregation who had ashamed her, at the passengers who had animated for her abasement, and at the cameras that had captured it all. Actually, Patricia, she said, there is one added thing. The berth captivated its breath. I appetite every distinct actuality on this alike who witnessed what happened and said nothing, who animated aback I was being assaulted, who affected my answerability because of how I was dressed, I appetite them to bethink this moment for the blow of their lives. Because the abutting time they see addition actuality advised unfairly, they will accept a best to make. Will they be allotment of the botheration, or will they be allotment of the solution? Alani bankrupt her portfolio and alternate it to her agent bag. Now, if you'll alibi me, I accept a flight to catch. We're already late. 3 months later, Alani sat in her Bend appointment overlooking the Dallas-Fort Worth runway. Framed accessories afraid on the wall behind her. The bang heard annular the world. How one CEO afflicted aviation forever from the New York Times. The Henderson effect. Airlines embrace radical ameliorate from the Bank Street Journal. Her buzz buzzed. It was a text from a cardinal she didn't accept saved, but she knew who it was. Absence Washington, I just accomplished Arch my 40th bent training affair for new hires in Detroit. Thank you for giving me a adventitious to abound instead of aloof throwing me away. Karen Alani smiled. Redemption was a affiliated road, but it was accessible for those who chose to airing it. She flew consistently now, consistently in simple jeans and a t-shirt, consistently observing. On a contempo flight to Chicago, she watched an adolescent atramentous man in a hoodie access the Aboriginal chic cabin. The flight attendant, a woman Alani had never met, greeted him with a warm, 18-carat smile. Welcome aboard, sir. Can I advise you with your carry-on? No suspicion, no demand for added ID, no assumptions, aloof respect, progress. The adventure you heard today is an able admonition that our accomplishments and our inactions have consequences. If you accept an accountability and the ability of one actuality to atom absurd change, share this video, subscribe to our access for added accurate belief that matter, and let us apperceive in the comments. What is one baby affair you can do this anniversary to angle up a join ageism in your own life? Because complete change doesn't alpha in a boardroom. It starts with anniversary and every one of us choosing to see better, do better, and be better. Thank you for watching.